Good man, Julian.
Anyways, I'm going to the National Special Olympics games in Calgary in this
Fan-
winter.
Fantastic.
I
Fantastic.
will be volunteering with Track3, of course.
We're a couple minutes late getting going. So if you're not on mute for now, can you just mute yourselves and I'll get it going, get the meeting called to order here, and we'll start going. So for those of you, I'm seeing a ton of familiar names for me in the when I look at the participants, which is great for me. It hasn't always been the case, but it tells me I've been getting around a bit. So that's great. I think what we'll get going, Trace, are you okay to move us to the next slide?
Yep.
All right. So just a bit on, and you guys, I think it's our third Zoom meeting that we've done. So probably for some of you, I think for me, it does feel familiar. So we're going to try and get most of the conversation happening at the end and use the chat just to make it efficient. But just to be clear for everyone, if there will be a time for folks, if you want to ask a question at the end, we're happy to have people come off mute and raise any concerns or observations or questions, that kind of thing. So, but we're going to try and get through the business part of it. So can you, I guess what we're going to do in the meanwhile, if you do want to ask a question during the session, just use the chat to raise your hand. So if you click on the chat, there's some options there for just putting a hand raise in the chat. You can put questions into the group, and we'll monitor the questions best we can. We've got a few things to do, but if we don't get to your question right away, we will get to it. Can you also, I'm looking at the names and I think that we're in pretty good shape here. Just make sure you're named properly. I'm not actually seeing any. I think people are getting more used to this, so everyone's kind of got this right. But if you haven't got your name right, just click on your name and do put the proper name in. We are recording the meetings for viewing later, so we put it up on the Track3 website, so those that aren't able to make it can view it. So just be aware that the meeting is being recorded. I think that's it for navigating Zoom for our virtual AGM. Tracy, do you mind moving us to the next slide? So where are we? We are at 9 minutes after 7 on October 26th. I now declare the 2023 AGM for Ontario Track3 Adaptive Sports Association in session. For the purposes of this meeting, Chris Rain has been appointed secretary. The minutes will be made available on our website. Chris, so Tracy, could you unmute Chris if that has to be done by you? And Chris is just gonna.
Hi, everyone. So the notice of this meeting was emailed prior to September 28th in accordance with the association's bylaws. And there's going to be a lot of votes during this meeting. A voting member must be the age of majority, and the person must either have made an application for a membership in the association, or is an employee, officer, director, or life member of the association. The board has also specified that the one member of an athlete's family or committee members are members of the association, so that we can ascertain who has standing to vote. And for the purposes of this meeting, the attendance, your voting will be based on the attendance as we see your name in Zoom.
That's perfect, Chris. Thanks very much. So the official notice, proof of notice calling the meeting has now been fully being duly filed, and a copy of the notice will be kept by the secretary with records of this meeting. I now declare the meeting regularly called and properly constituted for the transaction of business. So we did in the package that the Kathy sent out prior. We shared the minutes from last year's AGM. Are there any? I guess I'll look for any comments in the chat, for any comments or any hands raised for discussion on the minutes from last year. I'm not seeing anything. So I will ask for a motion that the minutes for the Ontario Track3 Adaptive Sports Association AGM held on October 13th, 2022 be accepted by the membership. Will somebody raise a hand to make that motion? All right, I'm seeing Brenda and JF. I'm not sure if I got that in the right order, guys, but is that okay if I call Brenda and JF? Brenda can make the motion and JF Pion will second the motion. Okay, let's carry on, Trace. Trace, can you unmute Fayez as well? And I'm going to turn it over to Fayez, who's going to give us the treasurer's report.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. It's my privilege again to be able to present this year's financials for Ontario Track3 Adaptive Sports Association. Just like in the last several years, we had a very good year, and I'll go through some of the results. So just starting off with the balance sheet for the year ended April 30th, 2023. When you look at the first line there, you'll notice that cash is at $219,890. You also notice just below there's a line that wasn't there in prior years called investments. Due to rising interest rates, we, as a board, decided to take full advantage of the opportunity to earn some extra interest on the cash that was sitting in the account. So we made an investment in guaranteed investment certificates, so GICs, which are fully secured, paying anywhere from 4 to 5%, depending on the timing of the purchase. So we put $340,000 in GICs earlier this year. They have varying maturity dates, depending on when we feel we may need the funds. So combining cash and investments, we had about $559,000 versus total cash the prior year of $594,000. So net, a reduction in overall cash by about $35,000. Accounts receivable, a little bit higher than last year, but this is for funds that were committed to be received by us as of April 30th, but wasn't received until after April 30th. As of today, all of those funds have been received. Inventory mostly is just jacket inventory that we stock for volunteer use. And prepaids consist of mostly rent and insurance prepayment. Capital assets for the year are up, mostly or all because of three major items. We invested in a new deck last fall at Beaver Valley. Also new or upgraded ski and snowboard equipment purchased last year. And some funds relate to increased funds relate to early expenses related to the Craigleith building project that will be talked about later in the presentation. On the liability side, nothing major to report here. Accounts payable is just expenses that came in after year end, all of which have been paid since. Government remittances, a small amount of payroll source deductions that was owing at the end of the year, which has been paid since. Deferred revenue, just a deposit where a parent had decided to not take the refund and put it towards a few end of next year's fees. And then you'll notice a flip between our long-term debt last year at $40,000 and this year showing as current portion. This is the government SEBA program. As the $40,000 SEBA program is coming to an end at the end of this calendar year, so that's why it's showing as current debt. We have full intentions of paying that off before the end of the year to realize on the $20,000 forgivable amount that the government offered that was reported on, I believe, last year's financial statements. Tracy, would you mind going to the next slide? Perfect, thank you. So moving to the profit and loss statement for the year, you'll notice that revenues by category fluctuate a little bit. So corporate donations were a bit down from prior year, whereas donations in kind, which is basically ski lift tickets donated by the host hills, was up. That's mostly due to COVID, as in the prior year, we didn't have as many people on the hills as we did this past year. So less ski lift tickets to be donated. But you'll also notice that events was up from 54,000 to 118,000, also due to COVID, as in 2022, the events were limited. And then student fees as well, also up from 18,000 to 30,000, also because we had less students on the hill. Individual fundraising also a little bit down from prior year, but we found during COVID, we were getting a lot more corporate and individual donations, as there was a lot of media around charities not getting as much donations. So we feel that that's just more leveled off versus being a decrease in both those line items. Overall total revenue at 546,000 versus 535,000. On the expenditure side, program and operating costs are up at 387,000 versus 258,000. Again, in 2022, we had less costs associated with programming because less people on the hill. The 386 is still less than what it was in the year prior to COVID. I think it was about 480,000. So we're a little bit under a non-COVID year or a prior COVID year. Fundraising expenses up just to generate future fundraising and grants, which we're seeing good results this year. Rent pretty much at the same, administration at the same, amortization just based on accounting calculations, and insurance basically at the same. At the end of the year, the excess of revenue is at around 26,000 versus 169,000. But 26,000 is definitely in line with what we would see on a regular year based on the revenues and expenses of full programming going ahead. Any questions or concerns on the balance sheet or income statement? Paul, if you're seeing any hands up or...
I'm not as of yet, Fayez.
Perfect.
It's good.
All right, Tracy, if we could move to the next slide. All right, with presenting the financials, I'll ask for a motion that the audited financial statements for Ontario Track 3 for the period ending April 30th, 2023 has been prepared by the appointed auditors, RLB Chartered Professional Accountants, be accepted as presented.
I'm seeing Brad Sutton make that motion, Fayez, with a second from Glenn. So we'll take that as a first and second. And I didn't do this properly on the minutes. We do at this point want people to raise their hands to support the motion as presented.
Great. Thank you very much. Tracy, would we mind going to the next slide?
Fayez, can you just give it a second here?
Yeah.
For folks, I didn't do this properly. Everyone seems to be on it now. I'm seeing a lot of raised hands. If you, by the way, if you're not sure about raising your hand, it's on most screens. It'll be at the bottom of your screen. There's a more with 3 dots, and you can just see reactions. If you click on reactions, there's a raise hand option there. But I think that we're in good shape on that motion to carry. Fayez, I'm not seeing everyone voting, but I'm seeing. I think we have enough. So we'll just maybe clear those hands and move on to the auditors.
Yeah, I guess I forgot to ask everyone to vote on top of the first and second.
You didn't have a good role model.
All right. So moving on to the next slide. Over the last several years, we've used RLB Chartered Professional Accountants. I believe I mentioned in previous years that they specialize in working with not-for-profits and charitable organizations. We've had actually a great experience over the last number of years using them. And so with that, we'd like to ask for a motion that RLB Chartered Professional Accountants be appointed the auditors of Ontario Track 3 for the 2023-2024 fiscal year ending April 30th, 2024. Can we get a first and a second?
I'm seeing Brad make that motion, Fayez, Brad Sutton. And
I see JF as the second.
Very good.
And then if there's any opposed or...
I missed who the second was for the minute.
JF.
JFPL.
Thank you. Thank you.
Then a vote with all hands, I guess.
That's right. So just vote using everyone's on it.
Right.
We'll just give it a second, Fayez.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing any objections either, Fayez. I think that's a good motion.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And just before we go to the next slide, just to give everyone an update on this year, we're off to a great start financially. We are exceeding our targets in all fronts so far. Next year, hopefully the financials will present even better than it has. And I guess this is my last duty as treasurer after 6 years on the board. So it's been an absolute privilege to be a part of the board and treasurer and be able to present awesome financials to all of you.
Fayez, we get to talk about you later. Thanks for that great report and the great work you've done.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's back to me. I'll talk a little bit about what we've been working on. Trace, I think I'm good just to go to the next slide. I don't have a lot of them, but just I want to just remind people of our mission and strategic focus in the areas we've been working on. So we presented this the same slide last year, not all the same updates under the pillars, but basically the big change in our mission was adding the broader community, right? Just this recognition that there's more people that need help skiing, snowboarding, Nordic skiing in the broader community. So we have people starting up programs in snow schools and so on. So we're wherever we can, however we can, we're going to support that broader movement. That was the bigger change to our mission. And we centered our activities and focus on two main pillars. One was we labeled grow our impact, and really, if you think about this one, it's thinking about the best days in terms of the number of athletes served and getting us back up to full strength. And we know we can only do this with volunteers. We use the words often that we're a volunteer-powered organization. So it's all about attracting more volunteers, obviously retaining them, and then with our technical committees, great work helping them grow. So we think we did, we tried a lot of new things in the last couple of years here. We did a lot of off-season recruiting last year that we talked about, which I think served us well into last season to get our numbers back up. We've kept up the things that have worked. And I think just a report on this past summer, some of which falls beyond our fiscal that we're talking about here, but we've got over 100 people through the different events we've been doing. Sharon Vardy's on the line. She's been out trying to build the volunteer base for Mount St. Louis. We've been active in other markets as well. So we've got over 100 people, and all of you will have seen the emails about the ski shows this weekend, which is always, I think last year at the ski show, we got about 40 people. So we're expecting to turn over to our really talented course conductors in January, a really large group of new recruits that'll allow us to get more good athletes on the hill. We also set our sights on program expansion, right? Just getting us going. And I talked last year about the great work that Barb Hopewell had done to launch us into a Nordic program at Earl Bales. And thank goodness we did that, because Barb and her great crew, we didn't unfortunately get an Alpine program up and running at Earl Bales last winter. They only opened the intermediate hill, and it was, even that was sketchy and short. So the fact that we had a backup to get people out if they were snowshoeing and moving around. And Kathy did a great job moving those. I think we moved 7 Earl Bale students, or Kathy can correct me, but basically anyone that could move, we fit into a program that wasn't affected by the weather. So that was great to get that going. So we got a second, Jonathan Weiss, who had worked with Barb at Earl Bales in the first year of Nordic, launched a program last winter at Mono Nordic, which I'm sure will be even stronger this year. So we got our second Nordic, and I think we've learned a lot about Nordic, and it looks like a really attractive growth area for us. One thing I like are the reports from the richness of the experience that both the volunteers and the athletes are getting out of it. It also takes us into a new volunteer pool, right? Some people don't downhill ski or snowboard, so we can get more volunteers that are into Nordic or snowshoeing. And I should mention quickly, as I mentioned Barb earlier, that she also did a pilot taking that snowshoe Nordic experience, and we did an off-season pilot this past summer and fall with hiking at Earl Bales and a couple other sites around the GTA. So that's really great to see. The other thing, just on our programs, we're really excited to get a program launched up in Hidden Valley, up in Muskoka. We were there years ago, but the market, we think, is underserved, and we have just a richness of volunteers. We think it's a great, unique catchment. So a couple of former volunteers have moved up to that area, Wes Palmer and Charles Cooper, and Mike Galazzo from Craigleith. They were up, and a couple of additional volunteers. We got that program up and running last year. We only had, I think it was by the time we got going up there, it was probably about a 4-week program, and we only had 1 athlete because we got started a bit late on that. But I think we got 3 signed up already for this year. So we're gonna, when you launch a new program, they take some care and feeding to get strong. But I really believe we're gonna have a great program up there. And we launched our 3rd additional program. We did Saturdays at Mount St. Louis Moonstone, so very supportive hill. The Hooter family are great to deal with, and we've had for a long time a really great Sunday program there. Sorry, I'm not sure who's chiming in. Let me keep going. If you've got a question, I'll let you jump in at the end once I'm done here. So let me just finish off on program expansion. So those are the programs we launched. I will have I think that the focus just for this year, for those thinking about it, we won't have 3 new programs. We may have 1 new program, but we'll definitely be strengthening existing programs, including those ones that we've just gotten going in the last year. The other thing we think about on our growing our impact is just that supporter base, right? Volunteers. There's more families. There's always families. Our wait list is long and is galvanizing for us in terms of the work we do to get more volunteers. But we really need to continue to strengthen our fundraising skills and capabilities. So we're really working hard on that part of grower impact as well. Second pillar for us as we think about it is build our capability. And so here, first and foremost, it's about people. I'll start with the team. We had left Kathy on her own for too long. We put a lot on Kathy as kind of our only staff member. for a long time. So we brought Tracy on board in June of last year, and Tracy's now full time, and I think it's really making a difference to add to our depth on our team. And you'll hear from Tracy in a few minutes just about the work she's been doing and leading. And I probably a lot of it's not news to you because you guys will have seen Tracy around at our events and at our hills and doing things. So it just, we're strengthening our team has been a big focus of our capability. I also want to just mention program leadership here. For all of our volunteers and our families that are on the call, I think you realize how of paramount importance the program leader, the program directors are. And so we've been thinking a lot about this, how important this group is, and also making sure that we've got good succession plans for those positions, right? Because they're very tricky, right? You've got everything from athlete assessment to volunteer inspiration to sometimes hill management, and you have to deal with a lot of stuff. And so we're trying to make sure we've got our eye on supporting that group. We have a great group, and we just need to deepen the pool there. And especially as we think about launching new programs, right? We're going to have some people that have some experience. And I mentioned the board here as well. We've got some natural turnover in our board, so we've had to be thoughtful about the skills on the board. We'll do some elections here in a minute for the board, but thinking about our skills matrix and our diversity, really trying to make sure we've got that covered well. People that are willing to do the work, and really take us back to full strength. I do want to as well mention the technical committee, because I've got a lot of appreciation and visibility on the work they do. We if you think about growing the skills of our volunteers, whether it's the level 1 training we do in January, or the modules we run through the season, or the upgrade training. And the upgrades are critical, just because if you look at our wait list, there are things like there's a lot of sit skis. There are more advanced advanced needs where those skills are critical. So we're very fortunate to have a very dedicated technical committee. Glenn Clark's been leading that for the last year or so, and they've got a really great group. And I'll give a hat tip as well, just to George, our board colleague, who's also like Fayez. He's finishing his term with us, but fortunately he's taken over the snowboard leadership, which is critical for us. And he's also building out the depth of that team on the course conductor side. So really impressive group on the technical committee. Partnerships. Fayez showed you the difference, the contributions that we get from our hill partners. We can't run. I think we'll be at 14 or 15 hills this winter. We can't run without the generosity of the support of the hills. All those tickets, we don't pay for, and I think you all appreciate just how much support we get from the industry. Tracy's going to talk about funding innovations in Metro, so I'm going to leave that. And I'm going to talk about the other 2 points here, CADs and buildings, with a couple of just a few different slides. So I'll keep moving, Trace, if that's okay. So speaking about CADs, I wanted to just spend a minute here because we spent quite a bit of time 2 years ago on this. We asked for your support to pursue a formalized arrangement with CADs, who I think most of you know is the National Adaptive Sport Organization. We've gotten a lot out of this increased engagement with CADs, and we actually really, there's nothing we have seen in that deepening relationship that we haven't really admired. We are sorry for that notice. I guess the realization on our side is we do a lot of things well already. It's not a simple task to align our technical approach to what CADS is doing. in our own capacity for change, has us stopping short of a formal joint membership arrangement at this time. So we're what I want to impart on everybody is that we should consider ourselves to be partners of CADS, and I guess how I hope it shows up for our people is that when we go to events and we're with CADS people, they're our colleagues, and there has in our past been a bit of we they. I think that's just not helpful, and we really have gotten to know these folks pretty well, and they really are great people. So, and we'll continue to look at it, right, and see when it makes, if at some point having a more formalized arrangement where Track3 members are also CADS members, that day may come. We'll just keep looking at it in terms of when it makes sense, and it will be at a time where we can see our way to alignment on the technical side, where we can manage the change effectively. In terms of things like our member management system, which is critical, that manages all of the I think you guys all, I won't get into it, but there's a lot to it, both for our athletes and for our volunteers. So I would just encourage everyone to think about those CADS people as our friends. If some of you recall, we did a few on-track sessions to try and keep us glued together when we were all off the hills during COVID. And one of the sessions we did was with CADS, and we ran some special sessions. But if you guys remember, we met Christian Harab, was their executive director, and John Ross, who was the president of CADS. I'm sorry to say that John passed away recently. I actually was at his celebration of life today. Amazing guy, very inspiring, and his wife Brenda is one of our members, one of our volunteers at Craigleith Sunday. So a sad time in that regard. I really just admire that man greatly. So anyway, our very best to his family, to Brenda and his 3 daughters. I think I'll keep going, guys. And if you guys want to talk about CADS, I think I'll leave it to the end. So I'm just going to talk one more thing, and I'll turn it over to Tracy. We have chatted with you in the past about a new building at Craigleith for us. Trace, do you mind flipping us to the next slide? So we have moved ahead with this project. I think Craigleith is the building we have there is coming to end of life, and we're mindful that this is the center of two of our largest full day programs, and where we do all of our training. So our existing facility we're probably a little late starting this project because we're in it for a few years now, and we still have a lot to do. So I'm hoping our existing buildings, we can, with Barry's talents, we can keep it going for as long as we need to. But we've got a good design. We've done a lot of work with some Rick Hansen affiliated designers and architects. So fundamentally, the best thing we're solving for here is accessibility. So for those of you, and most of you will have been to Craigleith, getting into the building, moving around in the building, and getting out of the building onto the snow deck are really challenging. So what we're hoping for and have in mind is a new Ontario Track3 building that's Rick Hansen accredited design, 2 floors, accessibility ramps, kitted out with an elevator, a variety of sensory friendly features. And the building will provide our athletes with not only a program space, but one that fosters equality, inclusion, and allows our kids to enjoy the same experience as their peers. So we're excited about this. We're kind of moving into the next phase now, which is to raise somewhere around $3 million. We think the total project cost will be $3.5 million. We've done an independent costing study on it. So that's what we're doing with the building. Trace, I think I will turn it over to you and we'll come back and we can talk about anything that I covered in the after you do your part, and we talk about the board upcoming. So Trace, over to you.
Perfect. Thanks, Paul. Hi, guys. So as far as some of the partnership highlights, I just want to focus a little bit on our funding innovation partnership. I was brought on to support this partnership with Paul and even Fias this past year. So just some highlighted numbers we have to date from January to it's actually August, not September, but the program has now raised $77,400. We had a wonderful new partnership from the East End with Metro. So we've been put into multiple new stores out east, which has put us now to 143 Metro and Food Basic stores that are participating in the Track3 program. We're really excited right now. We are in the midst. I've had conversations as far as what a $1 million momentum looks like. To date, since we've launched this program, we are sitting at 965,500. We're very close to the million. We're really excited. We have a meeting next week that's going to discuss some of the strategic approaches and how to announce the success in collaboration with Metro and Food Basics. So there is more to come on this project, and we'll keep everybody posted on the next steps for this. As far as some development highlights that I've been working on this past year, I'm just going to speak to a little bit from October sort of to date, because a lot happened sort of past or post our last AGM. So from October to April, just on the foundation and corporate movement, we had achieved $71,000. I do want to mention and flag any of the over 5K opportunities that we secured. One would have been from Les Lois Shaw Foundation. That was a foundation that Track3 had been working with for multiple years. They went a little bit quiet there through COVID and such. Paul and I were able to have conversations with them, and we brought them back, and they supported us with a $15,000 grant. We also worked in collaboration with Drew Abbott, who a lot of you know through Craig Leith and a lot of support he does with Craig Leith or with Track3. And we were able to secure Lawson Foundation, and they provided us a grant of $20,000. From May, our new fiscal to date, we have secured just in the foundation and corporate movement of 101,000. Some of the amazing over 5K mentions I want to speak to is the MLSE Foundation. This is a really big success for Track3. I know our team is incredibly proud. It took a lot of years to get MLSE to see our grants and put us in the forefront. And I'm proud to say that once we got the grant, we actually found out that over 200 applications, Track3 had secured $50,000, and we were one of 14 that were chosen. So that's a really great, successful movement for us. Butel Goodman Foundation was something, again, that had been in conversation since last fall, and they were really excited about our program. They're new to Track3. We were able to secure a $20,000 grant through them. And Joseph H.M. Wood Foundation was through actually a family through Beaver Valley that found out about a program, was integrated a little bit with Paul and George. We were able to secure a $10,000 grant from them. So in term from last October to sort of now, we had achieved with the funding innovation about $380,000 in revenue between those. Some of the marketing event highlights, as Paul mentioned before, a lot of you are starting to see my face around some of the events on the ski hills, certainly through a lot of communication through Track3. I've been taking a lot of the lead on this. So some of the highlights, if you're not aware, as far as what we've achieved to date in 2022, since I had started with Track3, we had secured $31,000. That was between the golf and the gala, their 50th anniversary gala that we hosted. In 2023, between the snow day, men's day through Craig Leith, and our golf tournament, we've achieved $76,000. And then some of our third-party opportunities that I've been seeing coming through, which is something I'm keeping a little bit more close eye on, as the Craig Leith Men's Day had secured $22,000. And a fun opportunity, which is also coming up, and we're going to be part of it again this year, is the National Ski Academy. They do a silent auction every year, and last year we were one of the beneficiaries, and we've received $2,200 from them. And we'll be again watch closely for that in the communication, because we are part of that program again. And then MMP LLP also donated $5,000 through a third-party event that they hosted through their corporate. Through those partnership highlights, some of you were there. I'm really excited to share that MLSE, as part of one of the grant recipients, we are awarded certain opportunities, and they had come to us a little last minute, but I was really, really proud of the community. Very quickly, we had a lot of interest in attending the Toronto Raptors game. So in just about 2 weeks ago, we had secured over 160 tickets. So that's 160 Track3 members, families, community, friends that were able to attend the Toronto Raptors game. And so I highlighted some of the photos, but they were all also on social media as well. Another fun one that we had attended and some of our members were there was a partnership with the Conservation Halton Foundation Gala. They hosted a gala on the grounds of Glen Eden, and that was sort of in partnership with them because they want to talk about inclusivity for their parks. And so Track3 was part of the presentation, and their president actually spoke to Track3. You can see on the picture on the top right, that was part of the presentation. There was over 300 corporate donors that had attended that event as well. So it was a great opportunity for Track3 to get our face into that community as well, and just sort of obtain that conversation and become friends with them. For the golf fundraiser, again, a lot of you had attended. Those that hadn't heard the news, we were happy to secure over $40,000 on our last event that just happened on September 27th. It is one of the largest golf revenue generating events that Track3 has seen in history. Event announcement. I'm happy to share we're really ahead of schedule this year, so please do stay connected with me. I've already created a pre-registration, but the annual Friends and Family Snow Day is coming back. It will be hosted at Craigley Ski Club again. It is set for Friday, February 29th. I'm happy to share that Annette Sandberg is also returning as our snowshoe leader. I've got a lot of interest from corporations, and right now we definitely are asking for any, corporate donors and things like that and sponsorship. So there is an opportunity to already pre-register your interest, and more details will follow on that. And again, we are at the ski show this weekend. So if you happen to be in the area, certainly pop by and say hi. We're at booth 101. And that's it for me.
That is great. Thanks, Tracy. Appreciate the work that you're doing, and Kathy's on as well. So really appreciate that the work Kathy continues to do, keeping it all on the rails. And you guys know we're all coming into the busy time of year. So I know Kathy's ready for it too. So just to talk about the board, we're fortunate to have a number of directors continuing. Madison is got a year remaining. Madison's has served as VP on our board for the last year, and she's got a year remaining. Chris, who I think you all know, was on earlier. Chris has a year remaining. Alexander Wilkes has a year remaining. I have 2, and Alita Kanani. Alita's is not with us, unfortunately, this evening. I think you guys have heard about Alita. We brought her on last year because we knew that Fayez was going to term out. Don't think Fayez. Well, maybe Fayez was ready to go, but we're sad to see him go. That's for sure. But Alita will. I expect, if she's been mentored by Fayez, I expect that we'll have her as our treasurer for the upcoming year. We've got 2 board members that are standing for re-election: Kelsey Bennett and Richard Boyles. Which I'm delighted about. And we have 3 board members from that are not continuing on the board. Just maybe take these in order. Dave Umbach, I think a lot of you know. I mentioned the on-track sessions. The first one we did was with Dave, and he's such an inspiring guy. He's been pretty active he's relocated to a project in the Middle East, but I've maintained close touch with him, as I know many of you have. He's still a great sounding board for me on many things. So he's not on the board. He'll be leaving the board, but he's still connected and helpful. George came on the board same time I did. George has made a great impact on our organization, upgrading our approach on technology, and really the backbone there. which is a surprisingly, maybe it's kind of behind the scenes, but it's very important for us. So I've really appreciated that. And I mentioned earlier the critical role that George has played for us in on the snowboard side, because we had lost some of our leadership in a critical discipline, and so I'm so glad that George has picked up the mantle there. Fayez, longest serving member of our board, and Fayez, look at the condition and the financial shape we're in, and a lot of Fayez has led us through everything from the selection of those auditors that he talked about earlier to a really he's led our budget process. He's a very hardworking board member, I have to say, and he's going to be missed greatly. I'm very glad that like George, Fayez is continuing as a volunteer, as a course conductor, and he's been working closely with Chris, Glenn Hayworth, who's also a former board member, myself, Tracy on this Building Futures project, and he's going to carry on with that. So really deepest thanks to George and Fayez and Dave. They've been exemplary in their work on the board. Tracy, I think I'll go to the next slide. So we are going to vote for we're going to re-elect. We've got two members up for re-election. We'll do them first. So I'm looking for raising hands to support Kelsey Bennett in her continued service on our board. See a lot of hands. That's great. Okay. Excellent. I'm not seeing any well, I'll just ask if anyone has any objections, you can speak now. Not hearing any. Okay. Thank you, Kelsey, for your continued service. The next returning director is Richard Boyles. So again, I'll ask people to clear and raise hands to support Richard. Tracy, can you go to the slide with Richard's name, that director position number 2? I think we went too far. Yeah, you're on it, I know. So Richard Boyles. Okay, looks like we're in good shape for Richard. 2 new directors the board's recommending. The first is Adam Haggerty. So Adam is somebody who's very close to our world. He has a son Colton, who's a sit skier, and he's got some exposure already to sit skiing experience, both with our friend Jack over at Blue Mountain, but he's also been skiing in the CADS program over at Brimacombe. Adam's very involved in the diversity world. I think he brings a lot of executive presence and experience to our board, and I love his passion and his commitment to adaptive sports. So I'll look for support by raising hands for Adam Haggerty's nomination to the board. Thanks to all of you that are voting. Appreciate it. Okay. Welcome to the board, Adam. And finally, recommendations for Maggie McIntyre. Maggie is a volunteer at our Earl Bales program. She's got also a very keen interest in diversity. She's been actually a sponsor of some of our Track3 events with an entrepreneurial venture she had going to improve accessibility in the digital world, which we're really interested in. And George is a bit irreplaceable on the technology side, but we did need somebody with a pretty good sense of technology and a good, frankly, just another good operational mind to add to our board. So we're recommending Maggie for a 2-year term to join our board. I'll just look for the hands. Okay, I think welcome, Maggie. That's terrific. I really appreciate you stepping up, and as I do Adam and the returning directors. Okay, so just to open it up, I went through my stuff, and I just anything people heard about tonight, we can decide the best way to do this, whether we're going to take it off. People want to go off mute, or they want to put some questions in the chat, whichever you want to do. But based on not new business yet, but based on what you've heard tonight, anything that people wanted to talk about. Tracy, remind me, at this point, are people able to unmute themselves, or do we want to have them raise a hand first?
I think individuals are able to unmute. I would prefer, however, that you do raise your hand.
Raise your hand. Okay, let's do it that way. So if anyone has something they want to raise your hand, and we'll unmute you. That'll allow us to keep it organized.
Quiet group tonight.
Yeah. I'll just give it a minute. We are going to go, so folks know we're almost done. We're going to go to any new business that people want to raise next, and then we'll move to close the meeting. Just to see, well, we're waiting for those hands. I guess the one thing I would ask people, I know you're all busy at this. When we talked about growing our impact and attracting volunteers, always the best source for volunteers are our existing volunteers. So if you haven't talked to people about volunteering, please do. I've been doing a lot of recruiting. I always find that the hang up people have is they don't think they're good enough at whatever it is, snowboarding, cross country skiing. And I think you guys all appreciate what we do really well is we can bring people in with fairly novel skills and put them in an assistant position. And we've got great people throughout our instructor group that will spend time with people to make them better border skiers. So it's a great way to grow, and obviously you can sell the aspects of the community. And so anyway, that's just a bit of my experience. So appreciate anyone that's spreading the word on new volunteers. Okay, I'm not seeing any hands up. And I know from the votes that people know how to do it. So I guess, Tracy, we will go to the next slide. So just additional, I think we've been here already. So we have an opportunity for new business coming up. So new business, any new business that people want to raise as part of the official meeting?
Paul, there is a question in chat.
Oh, there is. Okay. Let me just see if I can find it. Oh, Jeff. How many kids do we have on the wait list? We have over 200 kids in the wait list. So it's something that Maddie and Kathy and I have been chatting about. Just in terms of it's too many, and I guess all the work we're doing to launch new programs and get new volunteers is trying to solve this, as well as what I mentioned earlier, the work the technical committee and the course conductors are doing for upgrading skills. It's the other thing I think we're going to try a little bit here in the upcoming year, we're just getting a group of people together to talk about some programming innovation. Can we do some different things? We're talking about I think I don't know whose idea. I think it might have been Tracy or Kathy's idea to attach some slots to our snow day event on February 9th, and maybe even the Thursday prior, a little bit like the spinal cord injury day, which quite a few of our sit ski folks volunteer for. Runs say 2-hour sessions in the morning and the afternoon on both of those days, and just give people that haven't had the experience an opportunity. So that's just an example of some kind of innovative programming ideas we'd like to try. Potentially offering more limited, shorter programs to new participants, so we could take more of them. The idea is just that something might be better than nothing. And I think the also just back to the programming innovation, things like cross country and hiking. Those have got to be good things, right? Because we know the parents are anxious to get their kids get them into something and be in a community and growing their esteem. So thanks for the question, JF. Too many is the answer. Very much on our minds.
Paul, JF has raised his hand.
Yeah.
So.
Paul, is it more like, are we more like the wait list is longer on the sit ski side, or is it more general across the board? Because obviously sit ski requires more volunteer with more skills than either able body or even stand-up skiers.
Yeah. I don't have the exact numbers, JF, but we have them. I can't quote them right now, but yeah, there's a lot of those more advanced needs on the wait list for sure. So usually, the challenge, we're trying to get people to open up the territory they're willing to go to as much as we can. But it could be that somebody wants to have a sit ski and they can only go to Glen Eden. So that it's a challenging environment for us right now to put a sit ski out at Glen Eden, but it's just as an example, right? So sometimes it comes down to that matching, right? Do we have the skills? Do we have the ability to offer it in their catchment? But bottom line is the biggest thing is we don't have, I mean, to put it simply, we don't have enough volunteers, and we don't have enough, truthfully, we don't have enough of the skill matching. We could probably, I'm sure if we doubled our force of sit ski instructors, it would be really, really helpful. But yeah, so it is a lot of that, more advanced requirements on that list. Any other questions? I really, Patricia, Jeff, I do appreciate you guys offering a question. Okay. I am not seeing any other new business being raised. Okay, so I think I will make the motion to adjourn the AGM of Track 3, and we are at 5 minutes after 8 on October 26th. So I'll look for a raised hand. Brenda's raising her hand to adjourn, and Barb's got, I think I've got Barb Hopewell. Brenda Brooks has got the first, Chris, and Barb Hopewell's second, and there's lots of endorsements for that. I'll just give a second. I've never heard an objection to ending the meeting, so I hereby declare the 2023 AGM of Track 3 adjourned at 8:05 p.m. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, spread the word about our need for volunteers. Spread the word about the snow day on February 9th, and really looking forward to seeing everybody. It won't be too long. So if we don't see you guys before the holidays, safe and happy holidays. See everyone on the hills.
See you later. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thanks, Walter. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care.